Just outside of Waitomo, there is a pasture with a small walkway over a little hole in the ground with a rope hanging from it. This is where our Blackwater Rafting adventure begins. Once looped onto the rope, we each lowered ourselves down and squeezed through the little hole into a cavern where we were 100 feet in the air, and far down below you could see the faint helmet lights of the other people way down below. After abseiling down to the bottom, we walked through an ever-narrowing stalactite-covered tunnel. Soon there was a crack in the floor that got wider and wider until we could walk no further, and one by one we connected ourselves to a zip line that disappeared into the darkness. With our helmet lights off, we each rode the zip line through complete blackness. Really scary, but we were rewarded with seeing some faint glowworms glowing blue on the ceiling. More on them later. We had a snack and tea while sitting on a ledge 15 feet over an underground river, and fed bits of sandwiches to Gollum, a large eel that lived in a hole under the ledge. We then each grabbed a rubber inner tube and jumped off the ledge and into the river. Once in the water, we paddled through the dark tunnels, and once we were a fair way up, we all linked up to form a long raft. At this point, one of the guides started banging his tube against the water, because up ahead was a tunnel where the ceiling was covered in glowworms. Glowworms survive by attracting insects and trapping them in the filament that they dangle below them, and they attract the insects by glowing a bright blue. The guide banging his tube triggered the worms into thinking that there were some insects nearby, so when we turned off our helmets and our raft floated through the low-ceiling tunnels in the pitch darkness, we saw long constellations of bright blue dots, hundreds of glowworms drifting by over our heads. It was really cool. We later ditched the tubes and continued our way through the caves by swimming, squeezing, sliding down waterfalls, rock hugging, and wandering through cavern after cavern. At one point, where it looked like we hit a dead end, there was an ankle-level hole that we squeezed through and came out behind a thin and tall underground waterfall. We then climbed up that waterfall and then crawled our way through narrow tubes, following the flow of water until we see a daylight ahead and above us. 5 hours after our adventure started, we squeezed out of a small hole in the middle of a little creek in the meadow. A great adventure.